Alright, game number 2 between King Morgan and Galactic Wino. Round of 16, third Offworld tournament. Let's take a look around, shall we? King Morgan with a strong game number 1, having complete control over the water resource, identifying that, pressing that through to victory despite being very far behind in upgrades and in Offworld construction. All kinds of details that could have easily left him to die, but he still found his path through to winning the game. So that was definitely impressive. Another low-ish carbon map. I mean, it's just low carbon scattered about everywhere. No real highs or mediums to take advantage of. Unlikely to see a scavenger. There is plenty of iron available, with maybe some adequate science spots, despite the fact that there are pirates around. And then quite a bit of aluminum available as well. And also ice covering literally the entire map. Literally the entire map covered in ice. Nobody's going to be completely controlling water this game. Alright, nobody choosing to found just yet. Both players kind of waiting, seeing what their opponent wants to do. Maybe wanting that extra claim. Maybe both of them have that in the back of their minds right now. I kind of want that extra claim. There are no claims available for purchase. There are no boosts available either. And King Morgan is going to be the one to choose to found first. Take that metal mine and 2 steel mills that are available to him. And Galactic Wino once again going robotic this game. Very similar start for him as well, just grabbing up some iron and some steel right away. He does have access to an upgrade instantly, as robots often do. And King Morgan probably shouldn't be too far behind here, but it is worth noting that Galactic Wino getting to start with no debt, getting an extra claim almost immediately at the start of this game, as robots do effectively most of the time start at HQ level 2 in a 1v1 situation. He is just going to grab some high aluminum. Interesting that he chose this one instead of waiting it out, seeing if he could grab this guy away from King Morgan. That could have been a real interesting blow to his opponent. And he is going into the standard, I want a lot of steel. No adrenaline boosts available to him. That is important. And EMPs and power surges are both available to attack him. So he is certainly going to have to, I imagine, grab a goon squad. And there it is. Going to plant right in the middle. That's exactly what we expect to see out of a robotic player. Forced to play defensively from trying to use his adjacency bonuses. But that can be okay. He'll likely be alright. Already thinking machines. Alright, very quickly, both players need to evaluate the long-term consequences of this. How can they be attacked? What is going to be attacked of theirs? What does the black market look like this game? What do the off-world prices look like this game? All of these factors really play into how valuable thinking machines is going to be, and I really hope both players have actually identified. I really hope that electronics are sitting down here at almost a $500 off-world price, and that's the best available this game, and that's really not too bad. You can see both players putting a lot of value into thinking machines. 28,000 is what it's going to be over to Galactic Wino. He can certainly absorb that at this stage of the game. And that's, I really would love to see that if I were a robot and if I wanted to just do things like rush to an off-world, not have to worry about defending my tiles as much, not have to worry about mutinies so much. All those kind of things can be absolutely great with thinking machines as a robot. That's going to be a really important pickup for this game, potentially. Alright, steel mills, as per usual. Kind of just riding that line of not profitable in any way. Galactic Wino can push to HQ3 if you would like to. King Morgan, not quite there yet, although getting kind of close. Still about $1,000 away. I want to see Galactic Wino grab this, but instead he has chosen that he wants an EMP. He wants to punish his opponent for not having hit a goon squad just yet, but what he did was still just allow King Morgan just enough time to really press to his own upgrade as that was happening, and now he can just throw down extra steel if he really wanted to. Instead, King Morgan is just going to wait it out. He says, okay, I don't need my steel and iron that badly. I'd rather try and secure these important resources. But Galactic Wino is actually going to block him off on the water that he was after. And now King Morgan's just kind of sitting there stuck in the mud. He does identify another water tile that he could use. Likely going to be a little bit important to this game, having access to to at least some water, and Galactic Wino with the hexagon, defended hexagon with a solar panel right in the middle. Wants extra adjacency bonuses on all of his stuff right now. That's very interesting to see. Just one little solar panel just sitting there. It's all good to go. No real adjacency for the solar panel, so he still needs a lot of power in order to not be leaking any at this stage of the game. But still kind of nice to see that little side factor in the robotics, their most recent change, getting utilized.
I hate those filthy
EMP is kind of ended on King Morgan. This is still very vulnerable to a power surge, I want to point out. You slam an EMP or a nuke right into this solar panel that should be nukeable. There's like, no, there's not iron under it, despite the fact that it's in a bit of an iron field. There's actually no iron under that tile. But still, you slam an EMP into it, you pop a mutiny on it, something like that. The goon squad gets absorbed, the tile goes defended, and the power surge plays Ring Around the Rosie with all the rest of your buildings. So still a bit vulnerable if King Morgan chooses to go after it, but it would take a very heavy commitment of resources to make it happen. Alright, during this mule auction, which I don't know how to value. It doesn't look all that great to me. Looks like Galactic Wino is going to take it for 10,000. Galactic Wino does manage to push to HQ level 4. He's probably going to want some power down pretty soon. Not sure where that mule is going. Could be the carbon here? Maybe? Is where that mule is headed? It's hard to say. Electronics factories are going to go ahead and come on down for Galactic Wino. Once again, don't like it. HQ level 4 electronics factories not making a whole lot of money. Look at that. It's right down to +5 right now. +19 now with a little bit of adjacency. It'll be up to +26. Or so in just a moment here, but oh, power's looking so good. He could have thrown down power first. He could have thrown down food, maybe. Great profitability available with food, especially considering he's got access to those water pumps this time. And I'm not so sure about these electronics factories. At least he's managed to push to solar panels. King Morgan, on the other hand, not really looking at too much power for himself, or any just yet. Very dangerous. HQ level 3 without power. His opponent's moving into those solar panels, has got them established at this point. The upgrade's available. But King Morgan just running a little bit further behind than he would like to right now. Can't really build his own solar panels, but can fairly easily rely on geotherms this game. And Wino is actually going to be the one to throw up an EMP at this point, kind of shutting King Morgan down during his transition from HQ level 3 to HQ level 4. That is going to be a little bit painful. We do see a solar panel coming out. That one was going to have been pretty pricey, but at least King Morgan does have access to silicon, so he can eventually kind of make some of that money back. But we also see a geotherm coming out. That's definitely the kind of thing I want to see right now. Steel, very, very cheap. Geotherms, quite accessible for King Morgan. That should be quite beneficial to him. A couple of farms now available for Galactic Wino, making decent money. They have decent adjacency available due to this solar panel still. But once again, power surges. I want to see him. I just want to see him tear through everything. Could be fantastic. I really hope that hasn't been patched and changed yet, so I'm not insane about how a power surge would treat this area. With the defended tile smack dab in the middle. Alright. Electrolysis reactor popping up for King Morgan. No big surprise, really. And a mutiny right as the auction comes out onto a geotherm. Also makes a whole lot of sense, and an adrenaline boost available on auction. Both players should place quite a lot of value on this. And both of them, I imagine, will be willing to push pretty high here. Chasing after this adrenaline boost. Come on, 20,000? Not 24,000. King Morgan doesn't want it for 24. He's going to hand it to Galactic Wino for 20. That adrenaline boost could make a pretty big difference. Once again, it's standard use in 1v1 play. Getting up that off-world market is what you're going to be trying to do most of the time with that adrenaline boost. And having access to one when you didn't expect it can be really, really nice. Especially when you can know your opponent's not going to get one in this game. Oh, so man, even Galactic Wino could just be on the lookout for when his opponent uses a black market effect, like if he wanted to mutiny to take back his geotherm. A small thing like that could immediately trigger Galactic Wino to hit his adrenaline boost, but no, he's not even going to wait. He just wants all that money right now. He says it's more valuable to me to boost these now. Interesting timing with the fact that it's nighttime on a solar panel right now. Hopefully it'll work out for him. But no, oh man, that adrenaline boost just gets shut completely down. I don't like that use at all. Look at this. Look at how frozen these are right now. There's just one of them that's going to be actually receiving much benefit from this boost at all. And that thing started out during the nighttime, so that is not much of an adrenaline boost whatsoever for Galactic Wino, just kind of forcing out an EMP from his opponent to counter it. That's not really how you want to see your one adrenaline boost used over the course of the game. More black market going down. King Morgan is still in quite a bit of trouble as I see it. He is struggling to get up to HQ level 5. He is struggling to get power online through his opponent's black market effects. He's just struggling in a lot of ways to keep up this game. And it'll be interesting to see if he can find some route back, find some way to hold on, as Galactic Wino just sits there and likely tries to push for an Offworld. If Galactic Wino, okay, it's not going to happen. If he had managed to do something like plant an Offworld before King Morgan pushed to 5, I would be almost willing to call the game right there. But King Morgan has gotten himself up to 5. He is a little bit frozen, but now he can actually throw down some hopefully decent production. He's getting into food. He's getting a little extra glass down. He's got quite a bit of silicon coming in to support his glass. And maybe, just maybe, he can go ahead and stay in this one. Galactic Wino committing very heavily into food. I would not mind watching... Okay, here we go. A couple of claims for King Morgan heading into water. This could be a really nice play for King Morgan. However, there is a water auction happening right now. That just throws a bit of a kink in everything. King Morgan also does have to watch out for the fact that Galactic Wino is actually making straight money on his power now. And so those power tiles are absolutely massive. Definitely the most important things in the game at this moment are going to be King Morgan's geotherms, I think, and Galactic Wino's solar panels. Now, nighttime is on the way, so it'll still be a little while before Galactic Wino makes a lot of money on this, and quite frankly, that auction just shut all of it down, so it's suddenly irrelevant. At least for the time being. I don't know if I like that play out of Galactic Wino. Even with nighttime coming, you skip on this, you let your opponent have it for 16. Suddenly you're making money on power when day comes. Your opponent's got all kinds of debt. He's sitting there struggling and struggling and struggling, just kind of like piece himself back together and get up to something serious. And then you're just sitting there like, all right, hey, the sun is pretty cool. I'll just win the game now. That was an option that he had. And he's kind of passed up on it a little bit by taking this water tile.
The black market is on.
All right. We do have an off-world market on the way for Galactic Wino. It's about half done at this point. It will be pretty useful, I think. Food, definitely an option to be sending. Food very, very cheap. Both these players producing a fairly ridiculous amount of it. Neither of them really compensating for the fact that water is very, very expensive at the moment by turning off their farms. But it does mean that Galactic Wino does have this invisible off-world constructing. It is defended by a goon squad, and he is once again going to be the first player to be able to make that move. But King Morgan, it really shouldn't be too difficult for him to push into an off-world of his own. Sell down some water, sell down some food. He should be able to make that happen. This is a bit of an awkward tile here, this turned off steel mill. Don't really know what's going on there. Maybe both players just struggling a little bit. EMP does go ahead and land on the solar panels of Galactic Wino. I don't mind that play too much, but I almost would have liked to see something happen over on this off-world. Again, I don't really know. And Galactic Wino has set himself up in a position where he feels comfortable getting aggressive against an opponent who is very far behind at this point. King Morgan is going to have to commit money into securing his own stock rather than commit money into securing an off-world market, and that's exactly the kind of thing that can kind of tip the game over finally into Galactic Wino's favor. Man. Another launch coming in just a moment. That'll let Galactic Wino actually secure a significant amount of stock. But King Morgan already does have the 5. So once again, we're a ways out from this game actually finishing. Another geo auction. Wouldn't be... I'm not going to be surprised at any result of this. Galactic Wino seems to really like his auctions. King Morgan usually seems pretty hesitant about them.
18,000.
But I really wouldn't be surprised if Galactic Wino kind of pushes for that a little bit. Then really wants to grab it up. Power's not all that great. It should be dropping pretty rapidly once solar panels stop getting frozen. But it does allow Galactic Wino to very easily transition his solar panels into something perhaps a bit more usable. Just a little bit later. Aluminum's getting scrapped in favor of some electrolysis. For King Morgan, neither player is really with a hacker array yet. It's just really this one Offworld that's sitting here as the key building this game. Already, we've got extra food kind of getting queued up for Galactic Wino, which I don't like. If you're planning on just sending food, regardless of everything else that's happening, why bother queuing it up? Why just have 100 foods sitting around doing nothing, right? Most of the time, that's going to be a poor decision in a 1v1, where you've got a lot more time to look around and plan what's going to be happening. Dust Storm coming in, that is going to hurt these farms for both players. Not really what they're looking for, but Galactic Wino has been allowed to move out of his solar panels at this point, so at least that won't be hurting him in that way. King Morgan does have an Offworld finally going up. It is so far behind Galactic Winos, though, that I feel like it's probably just going to end up being too little too late. King Morgan is struggling to stay in this game. He is making an effort. He wants to get it done, but I'm very concerned at this point. I don't know if he's going to be able to pull it off without some significant mistakes coming in from Galactic Wino. Galactic Wino, on the other hand, he seems hesitant to drive the nail into the coffin, right? He's kind of like securing his own stock instead of doing something like grabbing a second Offworld, grabbing a hacker array. All kinds of minor adjustments like that could make a big difference. We don't see chemicals being made by either player right now, despite how fantastic they likely are. And instead we've got like glass furnaces and electronics factories up, small things like that. Look at these chem labs, man. Come on. Nobody wants chem labs down right now? Can you imagine for either player right now to have just a hacker array and like 3 chem labs down? How much money would that be, honestly? Finally, we see Galactic Wino going to make the transition. Still no hacker array. I hate that. It's a 1v1. So easy to exploit the hacker array in a 1v1 scenario. It goes fantastically with just one Offworld, in my opinion. And Galactic Wino is also doing an interesting thing with these transitions. They're getting more and more and more expensive for him. And his opponent is already kind of in one Offworld. But his opponent has also got just that constant steel production down. Another Geotherm goes to Galactic Wino. That might have some relevance this game, but it's hard to say exactly how much. It is way up here. And frankly, if he tries to use that, think about how much money. Oh, that just cost. Look at that. Look at that steel price. There's 120 of that just floating around right here. Look at that. It's like that's what? An $18,000, $20,000 geotherm? Oh, that's so much. That's so expensive. It's just flying. Oh, man. I don't know how to think. I don't know what I think about that right now. It's also just so much more money in King Morgan's pocket because he's just sitting there making steel. He loves making steel. It's fantastic. And he's actually been driving that steel price up, it looks like. He might be trying to get to another Offworld through all of this. Very interesting situation, I think. More iron coming down. And it's very strange to have your Offworld market set up in this fashion on top of a triple iron tile. Not what you want. It's definitely vulnerable to underground nuke attacks now. Certainly. You can see King Morgan actually got hit by a nuke up here. And I have to wonder if that was initially run into this Offworld here. And it's also preventing him from making the clean like $200 a second he could be off of this tile with its adjacency bonuses and the fact that it's high. Much, much better, in my opinion, if this Offworld were positioned right next to the colony. I think Galactic Wino might have absolutely forgotten about the fact that he picked up thinking machines so early this game, because he has not been trying to utilize it at all. Thankfully, Galactic Wino did make the play, finally. Finally, Galactic Wino makes the play. He's got those chem labs down. He's got the hacker array working. King Morgan should see this coming, but he might be too wrapped up in everything else that he's doing. He can do something odd like drive up fuel prices. He can try and get into chemicals himself, potentially, but it's going to be too little too late at this point. That hack is running. And King Morgan, he's going to have to get aggressive here against Galactic Wino. I like that decision. Force Galactic Wino to spend that cash defending himself or dying. Because if King Morgan can push to these, if he can just keep pushing, then Galactic Wino can't kill him. Okay, there we go. Galactic Wino was forced to commit that little bit of extra money to defending himself. But I'm still very concerned about debt at this stage of the game. King Morgan sitting on 250. Galactic Wino on 23. Not a good spot. Seriously, there's another adrenaline boost this game? What are you doing, auctions? What are you doing to this game? 16,000 on over to it. Looks like King Morgan is going to grab that one up. He's got the Offworlds ready to go with that. They can just keep flying through. I do want him to be shipping electronics pretty soon. At least keep a very close eye on those prices. Almost certain, and he definitely needs to be sending from both of them. He's got that food auto launch running. If he queues up another electronics auto launch, he's got to do that quickly. He absolutely needs to be on top of this. It's good that he's using his boost, but he's got an entire building just sitting here doing nothing. And on top of that, he's starting to ship. He's pretty close to be shipping the wrong thing. Fuel shortage coming in. I like it. I really like the fuel shortage right now. It hurts the chem labs quite badly. They always die off quickly in a 1v1. That is the curse of the chem lab in a 1v1 scenario.
Look at all the money.
And on top of that, King Morgan once again kind of doing a good job of identifying where his opponent is weak. But I'm very concerned about the fact that we have an Offworld not launching. I'm concerned that the Offworlds are not going to be launching the correct things all the time. Once again, Galactic Wino is also kind of failing to identify that maybe the electronics peaked above the food at this point. Just a little bit. Or at least are very, 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 very close. You got to be watching those carefully. You really do. It's a small edge, but small edges can make a pretty big difference in a game like this. Alright, freeze onto electronics. Very kind of Galactic Wino to save King Morgan that money. That's the sportsmanship-like play. And now these chem labs, man. Speaking of losing money, Galactic Wino, I'm still really nervous about this value right here. This is the scary thing for King Morgan at this point to me. If it weren't for that, I would say King Morgan actually has managed to pull it back once again and wrap up this game. But look at this. He's still sending food. Neither player, I don't think, realizing, hey, man, electronics are really, really good. Like to be shipping right now because they're pretty cheap. We do see a transition out of chems. Galactic Wino heading finally into that second off-world market. They're trying to make these things work, but man, this is a really hard game to call. 536 is what King Morgan needs to clean this up. Now, thankfully for him, he can pay down debt if he absolutely has to in order to clean up this game properly, but Galactic Wino only needs 268 right now. Oh, man. This is such a silly game. The debt may just end up deciding all of it. I like the energy shortage. I really do. Like, Galactic Wino doesn't have that much spare energy going on, despite his geos that he's managed to pick up and this one solar panel that's never shifted away. But King Morgan doesn't have a whole lot of energy going on either. And so if you can, like, short it out, if you can get some mutinies onto it, things like that, that can make a pretty big difference. That can make a pretty big difference. Actually shipping oxygen over here instead of electronics. I don't think either player scrolled all the way down and realized to be electronics. And maybe chems. At this stage, look at this chem price. You can get a chem shipment off with that. It'd be a lot easier to see with the new interface, but it is just those small edges that can really make or break a game. Electronic shortage coming in. I absolutely hate this. You're making electronics for a pretty massive loss, and then you're relying on the shortage to carry through any amount of money whatsoever. When you do have a little bit of carbon kind of leaking in from up here, you've got 3 a second, just abuse that, short that. Let your opponent keep making his electronics to lose money. I feel like Galactic Wino always gets off to this like tearing start in these games, but then King Morgan kind of understands that late game a little bit better is how it feels. Now, it should be noted, it looks like King Morgan has paid down some amount of debt. Maybe he's just gotten enough power online to make that happen. He's got the geotherms. He actually shifted into additional power instead of silicon. So he's maybe doing a decent job of using these power shorts more to his advantage than it could have been. And oh, look, here it comes, the water shortage. We're very familiar with this play at this point. What King Morgan utilized last time to clean up the game. He has managed to push himself to 95%, 96, 97, 98, 99. Is he going to manage to get all the way there? I'm honestly not sure. He hasn't sold out yet, actually. He could be very, very close. He's got it. It's just the control shift down is all he needs at this point. Red button. Do you spot it? King Morgan, see the red button. It's right there. You've got the game. Just take it. Yes, GG. And that'll do it. 2-0 over to King Morgan, despite that ridiculous amount of debt. He pulls it through in the late game. Very well played once again. Finding those spots in the market, manipulating them appropriately, strong use of the hacker array. That's what's carrying King Morgan through these games. And we saw it 2 games in a row. Almost the exact same idea. Really taking the game for King Morgan. And potentially even more effectively pulling it off in that second game. He got to the 2 Offworlds. They weren't utilized perfectly. Neither player really doing a great job of that this game, but a decent one at least to make some money. Then he just carried it home with the hacker array. It is actually worth noting that Galactic Wino got more launches off and did get 2 electronic shipments going. That was good. It's good that he managed to identify that while we were looking at King Morgan to help out. King Morgan, maybe not good enough use utilizing both off-world markets. Not a good job of that necessarily, but a spectacular use of the hacker array, at least. And a spectacular job reading his opponent, seeing what they're trying to do, and forcing these awkward situations. And you can kind of tell that at the end of the game, I'm betting that steel price was making a pretty serious difference in this game. Look at how much steel King Morgan got to sell this game. Almost like 100,000 profit in steel. Whereas if we look at Galactic Wino, it's exactly the opposite. Not making any steel, paying massive amounts of money. We looked at that like $20,000 geotherm flying across. And I know during all that time is when he put up another off-world market. I can't even... How much money did this thing cost? Honestly, how much money did it cost? Like, probably at least $80,000? Somewhere between $80,000 and $100,000 maybe for that off-world? Maybe more. So expensive, and I don't think it ever got a whole lot done that game. Alright, guys. That is going to be the series on over to King Morgan 2-0. Very impressive wins out of him, I have to say. Galactic Wino terrified me every single time. Like, I thought Galactic Wino was setting himself up to do it because Galactic Wino does such a great job from what I could see tearing through the start of the game with his robot, and he really has that part down. But then King Morgan comes back and in the late just says, I'm going to outthink you and I'm going to outmanipulate things. Compared to you, I'm going to force the game to go long enough that my expansive advantage really holds through and going to win the game for me. And I'm not going to let you quite kill me fast enough to force a super quick game, even in the majority buyout game mode. It was good stuff. It was good stuff from both players. Galactic Wino really showing off something in the early game and King Morgan really coming through in the late. I liked it.